Part 2 of the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, called the Indigo Disk, is almost here. And in today's video, we're going to talk about all the Pokemon you need to catch and bring with you into the DLC to make sure that you can take advantage of everything this new adventure has to offer. There's a lot of Pokemon on this list, and we have a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Currently, from sources like data mines, leaks, trailers, all that good stuff, we know there's going to be about 100 new Pokemon added into the games with this expansion. Now, keep in mind they're not brand new Pokemon, it is only DLC, guys, it's not a new gen, but it still does add a lot of flavor to the games by adding a lot of new Pokemon and a lot of fan favorites that are now coming back. Now, as with any returning awesome Pokemon, you are going to probably want to shiny hunt those, so you need to have your shiny hunting Pokemon ready to go. Now, as far as Pokemon that are excellent for shiny hunting, I like Magearna, Iron Valiant, Gallade, Breloom, Empoleon, Kingambit, Mew, Zangoose, Slacking, and Persian. Now, I've done a deep dive on why all these Pokemon are awesome, and I'm going to link that video ahead now. But just to give you guys kind of the Reader Digest version of it, all of these Pokemon can use False Swipe, which is a move that leaves a Pokemon with 1 HP, and they all have access to status moves. This means that all of them can paralyze or sleep an opponent, and then hit them down to 1 HP to make them very easy to catch. You really don't want to go shiny hunting if you don't have Pokemon like this, because it becomes much harder, and it's much more likely you're going to lose your shiny. Now, a lot of what you're probably going to see on screen now is pretty self-explanatory. The one thing I will let you guys know, the reason why I have Switch or Trick and Ring Target on a lot of these Pokemon, False Swipe is a normal type attack, so it cannot hit ghosts. If you use one of those moves to give them the item Ring Target, you will be able to hit them with normal type moves, so you can False Swipe ghosts. It's really, really fantastic. It's a great tool to have. And honestly, every single one of these Pokemon are amazing at catching pretty much anything. My absolute personal favorite is Breloom. He's kind of like the gold standard, but all of these will help you catch Pokemon a lot better than just some random member of your team. Now, not only are we going to have a lot of Pokemon coming in that we're going to want to shiny hunt, but we're also probably going to have a lot of really cool raids to do as well. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. You can use pretty much any Pokemon to do a raid, as long as it can boost stats up and have some strong stab attack that may be super effective. But typically with a lot of the kind of 4, 5, and 6-star raids, I just want to have a Pokemon that I can belly drum, max its attack, and just start attacking. I don't want to spend 6 turns using Calm Mind over and over again. So I have 3 Pokemon here that I think are just generally good raid Pokemon. They may not be super effective against everything, but they're going to do a lot of damage to anything that they do face, which I think is pretty great. So the 3 Pokemon I really recommend are going to be Iron Hands, Azumarill, and Ursaluna. Now, Azumarill and Iron Hands are almost pretty much the same. They just have Belly Drum with a Citrus Berry to recover some HP. Basically, once you get to +6, just start attacking and don't look back. Iron Hands has Electric, Fighting, and Ice coverage. Azumarill has Water and Fairy. You can tinker with these a little bit, but these typically are going to be some of the best options for you. Ursaluna is a little bit different, and you do have to play it a little bit more strategically. After you go ahead and use Belly Drum, you're going to burn yourself with your Flame Orb. Now, it has Guts, so it's actually going to get an attack increase rather than a drop from that status, but you are going to take a lot of damage on your first turn. So if you do choose to use the Ursaluna, after you get all souped up, use the option to cheer for healing, and you'll be able to gain back a lot of your HP. Then you can start attacking with those really big moves. We have Facade, which is going to be, I believe, a 140 base power normal type attack. We also have Headlong Rush, which is a 100 base power ground type attack. I finished the set off with Stone Edge. This can really be whatever you want. I just like to be able to hit flyers. I think that's a really safe option. And, you know, you need something if you have like a Ghost with Levitate or anything like that. And Stone Edge, it's not stab, but it has a high critical hit ratio, so that's pretty good as well. We're not reinventing the wheel here. They're just really good Pokemon, so I highly recommend bringing any of these to any of your raids, and you won't regret it. All right, but now we got our shiny hunting and raid mons covered. We're good there. But let's talk about the Pokemon you need to have that may have an impact on your story, or ones that you may need to catch in order to actually progress into the DLC. Now, as the DLC is called the Hidden Treasure of Area 0, I think it's safe to say we're going to be spending a lot of time in Area 0. Now, obviously, that's where all the Paradox Pokemon are, and it's where the post-game takes place, but you're going to want to go ahead and go down there and catch your second dragon. If you started off with Miraidon or Koraidon, there's going to be another one of those down there for you to catch as well. Now, I don't know if this is going to be a prerequisite or anything that you need to do in order to actually go into the area, but honestly, it can't hurt, and the great thing is, because you have 2 of your dragons, like you can use the one that you started with, you can trade with somebody else to get the other ones. So let's say you have Scarlet, your friend has Violet, you have Koraidon, they have Miraidon. Go ahead and switch, and you guys each have one of each. Problem solved. And you guys have a really awesome Pokemon that's also not bad at shiny hunting either. And if it happens to be a requirement of the story, you're all set. Now, you're also going to want to go ahead and catch the Ruinous Four, all four of the treasures of ruin that you do find in the base game. They're found all over the place by collecting the spikes. It is kind of a challenge. You're going to probably want to look up a guide online before you go ahead and do it. But they are really cool Pokemon, and all four of them have a lot of firepower, so they can help your team if you're looking to fill out some spots. There's a slight possibility that could be a story requirement, so it's just good to have your bases covered there. But in terms of a more practical note, I know once I get into the DLC, I'm going to forget about a lot of extraneous details like catching, random Pokemon. You don't want to forget about these. They're all great Pokemon, and you want to fill out your deck, so we got a little bit of time. Just go catch them. You can take your time to get all the shards. And honestly, it's pretty much worth it. But now let's talk about some Pokemon that I think are going to be required for the story. Head on into Area 0 and go ahead and catch all of the Paradox Pokemon that you have available. There should be 7 depending on whatever your game is, and just go ahead and catch at least 1 of each one. It's really not that hard, they're very easy to find, and the reason why I think you want these, in case there is a requirement that you need to catch everything in order to get whatever other Pokemon show up in the games, we do know there's like a couple new legendaries coming. It's just easier to get these done now so you don't have to do them later, especially with how simple it is. But in addition to catching those base 7 Paradox Pokemon, you also want to catch either Walking Wake or Iron Leaves. Now, right now, the events are not still going on for them, so you may need to trade for them. I think these are honestly going to be the most important because a lot of times what they like to do with those trios, we know it is going to be based on, Raikou, Entei, and Suicune, and then Cobalion, Terrakion, and Virizion. So we currently have the Paradox equivalents of Suicune and Virizion. I can see it being pretty likely that we're going to have these to get the other 2 of each of the trios, and I want to get those. I don't want to miss out on it, so it's going to be much easier to find someone trading them now, as opposed to when somebody's like, oh my gosh, I need these to get more Pokemon. So I would definitely recommend getting your hands on at least one of these, if not both, as soon as possible. Now, since you do have the Indigo Disk, most likely you're also going to have the Teal Mask. Go ahead and go into that DLC and make sure that you get the Villainous 3. You have Okidogi, Munkidori, and Pheasantipity. These names, and you want to get them just in case there is a prerequisite before you can proceed into the DLC without completing the first part. Also, make sure you catch Ogerpon. That's the one that's most kind of in line with the story. But again, it is an awesome Pokemon to have, and if it is a requirement, you'll have that taken care of. Now, we've talked about a lot of very fancy and legendary Pokemon, but let's talk about a couple that are just kind of, your everyday bread and butter Pokemon. You want to go ahead and get yourself a Dipplin. That is available in the Teal Mask. We do know that Dipplin is going to be getting an evolution in the Indigo Disk. It's going to be evolving again past its first evolution. We haven't really seen this too much in the past before, so it's really cool they're doing this. It's very, very simple. Just get yourself an Applin pretty much anywhere, then go over to the lower right-hand corner of the map. Go to that shack, get yourself a syrupy apple, go ahead and give it to your Applin, and you will have yourself a Dipplin. Now, on top of that, you may need to go into Pokemon Home or Sword and Shield in order to get this one, but you're also going to want to go ahead and get your hands on a Duraludon. Now, they may be available for capture in the Indigo Disk, that's probably pretty likely, but Duraludon is also going to be getting a new evolution in the games as well. I don't know how difficult it'll be to get your hands on it, so it's just worth getting this part taken care of now. So again, you don't have to backtrack and figure out where to get one from once you're actually in the DLC and just wanting to get that new dex completed. But there you go, that is every single Pokemon you want to make sure you have in your collection and you bring with you into the Indigo Disk to make sure that you can have as best a time as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I also hope you found me more or less entertaining, and if you did, please make sure that you impact that like button in the face, and if you don't mind considering subscribing to the channel as well, we would really appreciate it. As we're growing as a channel, that kind of stuff really helps us out. So with that being said, guys, I've been Blaine for Bridge4 Games. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a happy, epic, awesome, and amazing day, and I'll see you in the Indigo Disk. See you around. Bye-bye.